Guys, so this episode is gonna be a little bit different just because I forgot to record the first minute of the episode. I'm here with the DPF coordinators. They're right here there too. And this is episode. The first minute of the episode is gonna be black, but you can still hear us. But the rest of the episode is okay. It was my mistake, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the episode. I love you so much and enjoy the episode. Bye. Okay, good.
Got it. Got it.
See? Okay. Welcome everyone who's watching or listening to the second episode of Dream Out Loud podcast. And I'm really excited because we have very special guests tonight. Oop, I don't know when you're watching this. I don't know when you're watching this. I don't know if it's tonight or whatever. But I have with me the DPF coordinators. DPF coordinators. Okay. And I think if you guys don't know what GPF is, it stands for Dream Project Fellowship. And I'll let you guys talk about Dream Project Fellowship before you introduce yourselves. So we have like a context of what you guys do before you guys introduce yourselves. So what is GPF for you guys?
Yeah, so like Jeff introduced, DPF stands for the Dream Project Fellowship. And what that is that it's a year-long placement at a project site is what we call them. And you are placed with a mentor, which is someone that will help further facilitate your professional development. So this can be like if you're interested in a lab, if you're interested in doing a lab, you can apply to be like somewhere in STEM. If you're interested in working with students, like we have at the Dream Center, we have a lot of fellows at the Dream Center, you can apply there. So the purpose is to really allow students that don't have work authorization or a work permit to participate and be able to expand their work opportunities and professional development in a way that is still feasible, and you're awarded through your financial aid, so you do get compensated for your work.
Yeah, I really like DPF. And if you guys don't know, this is my DPF project site. So I have the opportunity to bring Dream Out Loud to a reality because of DPF. And I just wanted to, if you're watching this for the first time, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jefferson Herrera, and I have the honor to be your host for Dream Out Loud podcast. And I'll hand it up to you guys. Like, who are you?
Okay, I can get us started. So I'm Dulce Lozano. I am a fifth year transfer student. So I transferred back in 2021. And since then, I've been here at UCI pursuing my bachelor's in psychology and social ecology. So I'm double majoring. I'm graduating this spring. So UCI is finally getting rid of me. Yeah, I'm really excited to start a new chapter in my life.
I'm Angel Valdez. I'm a business administration major and a cohort along with my fellow cohorts.
What year?
Oh, I'm a second year.
Okay, period. Okay, hi everyone. My name is Fatima Mendoza. I use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm a third year education sciences major. I have a minor in Chicano Latino studies and also Spanish and English bilingual education. And yeah, I'm also the third DPF cohort, and we have our fourth cohort that's missing. That's Mars. That wasn't able to join us today, but that's us.
We love you, Mars. We miss you so much. I hope you're watching this, but we miss you so much. And thank you guys for being here. Like I was like brainstorming ideas for the next episodes, and I think like DPF is such an important part of my experience and Dream Out Loud experience as well. Because like thanks to DPF again, like I'm here. Um, and yeah, thank you for taking the time of being here. And I like to start the podcast like, well, I but I like to start by asking my guests, how are you feeling today, or how are you feeling in general? How are you guys feeling today?
I can start off. I feel like today I was feeling really sleepy. It's been like my Fridays are just so busy because I have things from like 9 to 2, 3-ish p.m. So I feel like I'm like kind of booked throughout the day, every day of the week. So I think I'm just like really tired. And we have Celebrate You Shy, tomorrow. So that's also another time that we're busy. So I think it's just like being really busy and just, I'm feeling a little sleepy, but I got really excited when I walked into the room and I saw everything and I was like, oh, this is so cool. I think in general, I'm just trying to take it one day at a time. It's also like my third year, like I'll be graduating spring of 2025. So I think I'm also starting to realize, like, oh, we're kind of wrapping things up. So one day at a time. But I'm doing good overall.
I'd say my day is pretty lovely. I'm looking forward to lunch later, as like I always am. And yeah, I feel lunch is the essential part of my day where I'm able to de stress, focus on the lunch, and then, as Fatima was saying, conquer the day.
Yeah, I love lunch too.
I love lunch.
Um, So I'm really exhausted. I feel like definitely this year I've taken on a lot on my plate, but I don't regret anything. So it's just being a commuter as well. So like having to be on campus all day and then having to drive back home. It's just like I'm tired, but I'm really excited that it's a Friday and I get to unwind and take some time for myself tonight. So I'm really looking forward to watching a movie and eating Wingstop. Um, yeah, and also we have Celebrate UCI tomorrow, so just like another day to work hard, but I love it.
And thank you guys. I love to be like you guys don't know, but I kind of have a little crush on everyone here. But this is another talk, another talk. But again, Mars couldn't be here, but you guys four have directed like different Saturday academies for the fellows, and now you're one. I'm one of the fellows that are being Saturday academies, and I don't know. I feel like really like honored to have you guys here, and I feel like you guys. I hope you guys don't feel like um nervous. I want this to be a conversation, as always say. We have different conversations. You guys are not only the DPF coordinator, but you guys are always like also my friends. So I hope you guys don't feel as nervous. Um, but yeah, so the episode, like the title of this episode, I want it to be dream driven because we all like undocumented students in higher education. Like um we are doing this because we have a dream, and like that is like what drives us every day. And the DPF, the Dream Project Fellowship, is like really important for this goal. And I want to ask you guys, what, why, or is there any reason why you decide to become a coordinator this year? And I'll pass it on to you guys.
I can go first. So I love that question so much because I remember when I was applying to be a DPF coord, they asked me, why do you want to be a DPF coord too? So since then, during my process of applying to be a DPF coord, I took some time to reflect on why do I want to be a DPF coord? What was the purpose? What was I bringing to this cohort at least? And um, I'm gonna shout out my friend Alex. She's a DPF. She was a DPF coord last year, and seeing her do what she did, so gracefully for the community, I say a lot to her. Like I look up to her because it really takes our community to be there for one another. So being a part of a court, I was just very influenced to like give back to the community, to help each other grow professionally, emotionally, and just as a whole. So that's how I came in when I was doing the process applying for TPF. So that's always been my motivation, giving back to my community and uplifting one another.
Yeah, I love that.
I
Sorry.
I decided to become a DPF coord after witnessing the past chair of Sapphire, the current chair of Sapphire being Fatima. But the past chair of Sapphire was Andy, and he was my mentor. And I wanted to sort of follow in his footsteps. I saw how passionate he was about helping the undocumented community. And despite being tired, despite having so many things on his plate, he would make time for it all, and he'd do a really good job at it. And so I want to follow in his footsteps, and I want to become a sort of resource to those in the document community, part of the DPF cohort.
I love that. I love that.
I think for me, I was like, I had to think about this question like a lot, but I feel like for me it was like kind of a mix of things, but it's also similar to what Angel and Lucy have said. For me, I think I wanted to kind of challenge myself, and the role that I was in. So this is my second year as a fellow. I was in housing, and I was kind of doing Saturday academies, but on a smaller scale. So I think for me, I wanted to kind of challenge myself and do that on a bigger scale, and I knew it was going to also align with my role within Sapphire as the current chair, because I knew it would teach me how to event plan long term and how to work with the cohort of fellows. And since I mentioned before, I am an education major, so I also wanted to see how I could integrate learning and education and how to teach each other, because I feel like already there's a lot of resources that aren't available to us. And I feel like within UCI, a lot of the resources that we have now as undocumented students have been because of student advocacy. So I feel like education is a really important aspect of keeping us informed. And that's the reason why a lot of us are able to be here today, because it, like Lucy was saying, it does take a village and does take a community to uplift each other. And I wanted to see how much I could integrate into DPF. So like I was like, I guess like one of the main people like working on like our worksheets and stuff like that, because I really wanted the fellows to learn. Like that was my personal goal, that I wanted them to take away something. And I knew education, us being here, is such a powerful statement, and I really want the fellows to know, like, like this knowledge is power, and I really wanted them to take advantage of it. So that was like my reasoning for it.
I love your answers, and I feel like a current theme that I heard from your answers. I'm sorry, I'm not just yeah, that's good. A current theme that I heard from your guys' answers is that you got like while you guys were talking, a word came to mind, and it's uh, like inspire. Like you guys got inspired by as long as we're doing and I'm here, you guys got inspired by the past DPF words, and then you want to inspire like the future fellows, and like imagine like I just like imagine like the fellows reflecting on you guys. Imagine like the other like the future coordinators are gonna get inspired by you guys. And I just feel like it's just a cycle of things, and I think like it's really beautiful. Um, but as you mentioned before, like some of you guys, at least for Fatima, you guys had previous experience with DPF. But now that you guys are learning how to be a coordinator and stuff, like it's your guys' first time to be a coordinator. What has been your experience in DPF in general, like in DPF in general, and what has been your experience as a coordinator, if that makes sense?
Wow. Such a good question.
I love this question.
Love this question.
Got me thinking now. You can go for a couple of years.
We're like,
Okay. So this is my second year being a DPF fellow. So last year I was with the scholarship department. So that was kind of like an intro to the social student affairs world. And before I discovered my passion of like working with students, I was going into HR, like hated it. And then when I was like working with students, like boothing and like having one-on-one conversations and like helping them with their scholarships applications, I realized like, oh, this is what I really like. Like I want to work with students. So once it was like the cycle of applying again for the DPF year, the next year, which is this year, I decided to like do DPF as a cord. As I previously mentioned, I see my experiences like very different, because now we are like planning the logistics, like the agenda, like everything behind scenes that the students like might not even think about that we plan. Like we planned every little thing to like the T. And if something doesn't go like as planned, the day of like any event, Saturday Academy or like anything, we have to come up with something right away. So like we try to come up with like backups of like backups. If that doesn't work out, like I think I've definitely been challenged to like um work under pressure, like because of things sometimes not going the way we plan. But so seeing my two experiences, like I've grown a lot professionally through this DPF site, and I'm truly thankful for like the scholarship department for opening this like insight of like student affairs and working with students.
I think for me, sorry, can you reiterate the question one more time?
Yeah,
I was just listening to something.
I asked like what's your experience in DPF and how what like in general, like in DPF in general, and like what has been your experience in like as a coordinator? If that makes sense.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And I think just to really quickly, I wanted to clarify, we've been mentioning Saturday academies a little bit, so I guess I want to first, before I dive in, like explain what they are. So Saturday Academies are usually, this year it's 2 quarterly events or workshops that the coordinators plan, and they usually take all quarter to plan. And we bring in different people in student panels, and it's a way for the DPF fellows to really gain insight and like that the source of education essentially, and for them to grow professionally. So like we host mock interviews, like we prep them for that. We also help them connect with our scholars in residence or SIRs, which are a cohort of grad students that help our GPF fellows. And it's just different instances like that where we prep students for professional development that they wouldn't get outside of these Saturday academies, and they're necessary for students to continue to grow. So I think my experience, like I mentioned before, my second year I was at the Dream Center. This is my second year at the Dream Center, but I was in a role with housing at the time. So I think for me, I just really enjoyed Saturday academies in general. Like I really liked seeing how much I learned because I feel like that experience was really fresh to me, and I hadn't really seen anything like that, and I haven't heard of other like dream centers doing this type of thing or this like learning opportunity for students. So I feel like that made me like really excited and really interested. And also like shout out to last year's coordinators, but like I loved how the coordinators just handled things and how you could tell like they were learning too, and then it was like entirely student run. So I feel like it was fun because like you were with people that you knew, or you were at least people with friends or friends of friends, and I feel like that sense of like helping each other was something that I really liked, and I realized through my housing role in general for DPF that I liked working and interacting with students. Because before this, I wanted to be a teacher, a high school teacher, and I think I still am interested in working with like high school youth, but like older, like 16, 17 to 18, and like young adults now, because I feel like that is where, like, I feel like you feel really lost, like, when you first get to college. So I feel like I've been really interested in that. And I feel like as a cord, that's like completely shifted my career trajectory where I'm like, I want to go into student affairs, you know? And I want to work with students because I realize that's what I enjoy the most. And I always like, I'm so passionate about like passing down this knowledge because it isn't something that's available to us all the time. So I feel like that as like a coordinator has been so, it's been so nice and so fulfilling, and I've loved how like especially the fellows that it's their first year, like how like at the beginning of the fall quarter, how shy they were, how unsure they were, and then slowly throughout the year they learned to advocate for themselves, or they just got more comfortable with like speaking up and like taking initiative. And I feel like that for me as a court has been like super fulfilling. So
For me, this is actually my first year in DPF. So it's my first year in DPF and as a coordinator, and it's a pretty big jump from not knowing anything to coordinating all these events for DPF. And last year before, when I was applying for DPF and I was considering my experiences, I was doing this or I still am, but this program, and I'm a discussion leader where for University Studies One, where I help students who are undeclared and first years, and I help them sort of like find their way here at UCI, find their community, help them with resources. And I felt that I had the experience in order to, with like those who are first years, and move on and be able to help those who are part of DPF, those who are undocumented, and those who are struggle with finding resources, as Fatima was saying. And in my role as a coord, I feel I'm doing that. I feel I'm able to provide these resources to my community, to the document community, and I'm able to continuously do this with the help of my friends, because I don't consider none of the courts as coworkers or like anyone at the center as coworkers. They're really close to me. They're my friends. We're like on a first name basis. It's like, hey Fatima, what are you doing? We talk about our days. I just love the interaction that we have. And I love the interactions we also have with the fellows. It's professional, but we're like really close as a community. And I love that aspect.
Oh my god. Oh, um, yeah, thank you for you guys' answer. Like that offers like a lot of like, if there's any student that is interested in DPF, like you're sure, like I assure you, like you're gonna find a family in DPF, even though like you see us like once, like every like twice every quarter. Like Saturday academies are really important. You make connections outside of Saturday academy as well, outside of DPF. Um, but to get to know you guys, I love this question. It's uh, I share with you the questions, and I hope you guys thought about it. But um, if if your life could have a theme song, which one would it be? Is anyone ready?
I'll take it.
Okay.
Okay.
So for this question, I feel if my life had a theme song, it'd probably be "Tu" by Maye, because I don't know it. I like the. It reminds me of the flow of the ocean. You know, it's calm. Sometimes there are waves, but eventually it'll even out, and everything will work out. And I feel I've had so many struggles in my life that I feel, oh my god, this is a wave, this is a tsunami, I'm not gonna survive it. But eventually it'll even out, and I feel calm after, and I look back on it, and I just like feel confident in myself that I'm able to overcome anything that comes after that.
Can you repeat the name of the song and the artist?
Tu by Maye.
Okay, let's put it up. Let's pull it up. We're gonna be right here. Okay.
I'm like, where?
It's like the wow, like sound effects.
Yeah, like that. Thank you for sharing. Who's next?
I think I have mine. Now that when you were talking about the ups and downs, I usually really suck at this question because when I opened that doc with the question, I was like, oh my god. I was like, I suck at this question. But I think going back, I wrote like a paper about this like last year, but Los Hermanos Flores, like they're like a Salvadoran like orchestra or like cumbia group. But I remember that whenever I feel like I'm kind of losing my ground or like I feel very like I don't know, like life is just like throwing things at me. I feel like that big group into in general and like the song La Bala, like that song to me is just so important because I feel that encapsulates like my family's immigration story and like me who I am as a person. And basically the song has very like ups and downs like you were saying in that one. So I think it's like los pueblos ponemos a gritar, like they like yell or they scream in the song and it's like meant to be like funny and like you laugh and then they were like, oh, everyone be quiet, and then the song gets quieter. So I feel like it's like Angel was saying that song is very like ups and downs, but I feel like it's very grounding to me because it's just like I just love like that song in general because I feel like it encapsulates where I come from, who I am as a person. Like I'm very proud to be Salvadorian. I know Jeff is Salvadorian too.
Oh. It always happens to me. I'm sorry, but I love it. I want to be Salvadorian, guys. I promise. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. This always happens to me. I'm
You're
so
gonna get
sorry.
canceled.
I'm Salvadorian. I love it.
And then was oh my god. But yeah, I just love that song. I keep it so close to my heart. But yeah, I feel like it just describes the ebbs and flows in that song. When I'm homesick too, it helps me a lot. I was listening to it this morning.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I'm like, damn, you guys are staring. Okay, so I guess my turn. For me, it's Quiero Sentirme Bien by Kali Uchis, specifically because she has a lyric in the song that says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My Spanish is so bad. Like, I don't know why my Spanish is so bad, but it says like, I would never go back to where I used to be. So I always think about that when I'm like going through it. I'm like, okay, like you progress, like you came up from like the trenches, like you can do this. Like it's just a little step back right now. You're gonna overcome this. Like that's how I overcome everything that life throws at me. I'm just like, okay, like it's gonna be okay. I'm not gonna go back where I used to be. Like it's just going. It's only up from now. It's only up from here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I see life. And whenever I'm sad, I just listen to that song.
I love that. I love that. I already shared in like the last episode, and I feel like it remains the same. Maybe like future episodes gonna change. But Hasta la Raíz, still being Hasta la Raíz is still being like my favorite. Not my favorite song, but I feel like that song represents my journey. But yeah, I love Hasta la Raíz.
It's a good song.
So moving on to the next question that I have prepared is so we already touched on this like kind of like touched on this before in our conversation, but just like emphasizing what do you think is like DPF is important, especially having here at UCI.
I can go.
Okay.
I think just like why it's important for I think for DPF and for just undocumented students in general at UCI. I think it's like something that I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's just so important for us to continue to be in these spaces. And like I mentioned, none of the resources that we have for undocumented students wouldn't be here if it weren't for past undocumented students.
Mhm.
So I feel like when it's important, I do feel like we have that moral responsibility to continue to pass this on and pass it on because there will continue to be undocumented students until there is a pathway to citizenship or whatever that looks like or reform or whatever that means like this isn't going to stop. Undocumented students are going to keep coming in to these higher ed institutions. So I feel like with DPF it just shows that we like within the community we are creating alternatives for ourselves because these institutions aren't gonna create them for us. Like we have to, and it's gonna be from the ground up. So I feel like DPF is just a testament of that labor of love for undocumented students in the past. And I feel like it's so important for us to continue to push for it and continue to use up the resources and for undocumented students to continue coming and using up these spaces just because it helps so much for our own survival and our own well-being. And like there are different elements to DPF, it's not just professional development, but like Angel mentioned, it's community too. It's finding a second family, like you were saying, Jeff. So it's all of these elements combined into one where like I feel like from there it helps undocumented students thrive. And like, we can take these resources and what we learn back to our own communities and like our hometowns or where we grew up. So I feel like it's just so important to pass it forward.
You got me there, Fatima. I'm just like, I don't know what to say now.
Sorry, I
Um, what do you want?
There you go. Could you reiterate the question? I'm
Yeah,
so
of
sorry.
course. We're like this whole conversation is about DPF, right? And because like you guys are the DPF coordinators, so we already talked about it like a lot, and then emphasizing what DPF is such an important. But for you, like personally, what do you think DPF is important to have, especially to like in UCI? What do you think DPF is such an important thing to have?
I think that DPF is so important to have here at UCI because personally, from my experience, I had no sense of direction of where I was going to go as like a administration major, what pathways I could take. Because once I graduate, okay, what's next? Masters, I guess. Keep delaying, going, trying to find a job, trying to find what I can do after college, after education. But I feel that DPF provides that sense of that roadmap that okay, people have done it before. You can do it. It doesn't have to be a straight method or like a surefire way, but there are ways to get to where you want to be. If you want to be, let's say, a chef, if you want to be let's say someone that sells clothing, there are ways to do that. And I feel DPF has just opened my eyes to that, and I hopefully that does to everyone else who considers DPF or is like thinking of applying DPF, that it is very essential.
Yeah. Okay.
For me, DPF is really important because as of as of as of I remember, there's like 4,000 undocumented students within the UC system. We're very lucky here at UCI to have an amazing Dream Project fellowship for undocumented individuals because like some schools don't have something similar to us. Like DPF truly emphasizes on the ability to grow professionally and within the Saturday academies that we have, we are able to build connections, relationship with other undocumented people. So being exposed to other people who are in the same situation as us, it truly builds our community, and we're truly deserving every single opportunity as well. So this at least allows us to have something similar to other people who are not in the same situation as us, because fellowships and other internships are kind of hard to get because of status. So having a fellowship where status doesn't define you, it truly does allow us to feel like, oh, we deserve to get professional development, and that's what truly DPF gives us. Like it gives us professional development, it gives us community, it gives us a sense of like, oh, we can do this, like we can succeed after graduation. So I really do think DPF is really important, and I wish we can see some sort of it in other institutions as well.
Thank you. And it's something that I really want to emphasize for everyone who cares basically, um, and who's listening, is something that you said, Dulce, and that took me a long time to understand. Is like status doesn't define us. Status doesn't like define who you are or the pathway that you want to follow, and that's why I think like DPS is such an important thing to have here. Um, but yeah, thank you guys for your responses. And now we're gonna talk about your. I know like you guys are like different stages of your academic career, academic journey here at UCI. But in the time you've been here at UCI, what has been your best memory so far that you can recall?
See. Um. Um.
I can start.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Kick us off.
Okay, okay. I love this question. I feel like I shared um during last episode. But I have plenty of memories to share. Um, since we're talking about DPF, I feel like one of the best memories that I've had. I think it's DPF, and your answer like doesn't have to be with it. Like it could be like with DPF or DPF related. But since we're talking about DPF, I'm gonna share one of DPF. Um, I feel like one of the funny memories that I have with the PF on Saturday Academy was the when we have the first time Chipotle. I was and Chipotle, thank you if you want to sponsor us. Like here I am, but let me see if I have the right camera. Okay. Um, but yeah, I remember that I was so excited when they said that that we're gonna have Chipotle. That I was like, and then when they said, "Oh, like let's go, like let's do a line," I was the first one there. So I feel like that's the best memory that I have because like my friends like also run with me. Like I was,
You're running for lunch.
That was so
I was
funny.
not by myself. My friends were there with me. They were like first in line. So yeah, that was my favorite memory from DPS as of right now that I have, and I can pass it on to you guys.
For me, I think it was I lived in a dorm last year. I will not talk about the name of the dorm for privacy reasons, but this dorm in general, that's where I met Jeff. That's where I met Jeff. And
Yes.
that dorm specifically, oh my god, I have so many like good memories there. But I think that's where like I met like Jackie. I met a lot of the stream folks. Angel also lived in this dorm last year. And I feel like I met so many of my close friends now through that dorm, and I just remember like we would just sit there like on the couch or like we'd run into each other in the kitchen, and it was just really cute how like everyone would come together. I think I have like a memory with like Jeff, like we made breakfast together with like Alex and Jackie. So Alex the past DPF court and Jackie's one of our student admin. But I just remember like that sense of like everyone just kind of being together. I don't know, we just played games at that dorm, and like it was just like so nice. I just remember I was like, dang, this is like what I wish I had my first year. Like I really wish I was like with these people that were so kind and like so like I don't just like willing to listen to you. And I just remember I was like, oh, this is like this is like one of my first time like set of like I guess like adult friendships, if that makes sense. Even though I still feel like a little kid. But I was like, oh, this is just like these people got me, you know? That was like one of my like realizations living in that dorm. And I just like, oh, I cried when I moved out, guys. I cried really bad. I cried like a baby because I was just so sad that I wasn't gonna be living there anymore. But like every time I go back to visit, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love being here. Just because it's just the vibe and the environment that it brings is so like warm and like it feels like a home, like a second home to me.
I love that. I love that answer. I love the house guy. Well, the dorm. I didn't give names. I didn't give names. But I love that experience too. I feel like I don't know, like we made good memories, and I met Angel there too. I don't know, it's just such good memories. I feel like I'm good. Yeah. Okay, who's next?
I'll go next. So I'd say my favorite memory and similar to Fatima is not just like, and to Jeff is not that just one memory. There's so many memories that I can say are my best one, but most of them come from being a part of Sapphire, being part of the same house where I say this a lot to my class when I teach the University Studies 1, where I found my community. I can confidently say I love UCI because I found my community here. And I hopefully, well, I know I'm going to continue to make great memories with my community, you guys, with as I continue my time here at UCI.
That was so beautiful.
But to give you an experience, I'd say when I threw my mentor, Andy, the past chair of Sapphire, into the infinity fountain.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was my favorite memory.
Did he get a cold afterwards? And he...
Yeah. He got
Anyways.
For me, I think it has to be the first overall rally. Because I was part of like DPF, but I was not part of the center yet. Like I wasn't really around, so I didn't really know these people. So I think it was thanks to that rally where I had a friend who was like, oh, because he was connected with them, so he invited me out to the overall rally, and that's where I started like meeting everyone, and that was like my moment of like realization, like oh my god, like I need to advocate for myself, like this if I want change, like I need to start advocating. So that was like my spiritual awakening for advocating for the undocumented community, and that's where I got involved with Sapphire, and that's all history now because I'm well involved with Sapphire and the Dream Center now.
Shout out to Sapphire in the Dream Center.
Woo!
Did we talk about what Sapphire is?
Yeah.
We were throwing it out.
So for context, guys, and hopefully I'm gonna have Sapphire in the next episode here. So that's a little bit of a spoiler. But Sapphire stands for Students Advocating for Immigrants' Rights and Equity, an organization here on campus that is undocumented student led. And the Dream Center, which we are all part of, is like a resource center here on campus, catering for undocumented students and those who are impacted by immigration policies. But yeah, there's a little bit of context about Sapphire and Dream Center. And talking about the best memory, now we're gonna change and gonna flip the question. And it's like we're gonna talk about like the biggest challenge that you've faced here at UCI, and not just like the challenge and like itself, but like how did you overcome it? How did you what did you do in order to move forward? And is anyone ready?
Yeah. There's like layers to this
I
question.
know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I agree.
I'm gonna start commenting.
Oh my god, I love some of dumpling. Yeah, I feel like I guess I'm a star.
Okay.
Just to give you guys time to think. I feel like the biggest challenge was the loneliness aspect of this institution. I feel like just to give you a context, and I'm not gonna mention my. Oh, can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, guys. If you guys hear it, but I'm not gonna give my high school information because that's weird. But my graduation class was 126 students, so my school was really small. When I came to UCI with 40,000 plus students, I felt really small, and I felt that I was by myself in a sense. And how did I overcome it? It was like the ways that I used to move forward. And big shout out to my mentor and friend Ozzy. He told me that there's a lot of times in life that you're gonna feel lonely. And that's the sad reality. And there's in any space that you visit, any space that you take part of, there's instances where you're gonna feel lonely. But he always reminded me that I'm never gonna be alone, and that stuck with me and still like stays with me until like maybe like I die, because like there's instances where I'm gonna feel lonely, but not just like in UCI in general. So yeah, it's always gonna be with me. So loneliness, that loneliness aspect of it. How about you guys?
I was gonna say loneliness too. Actually, that's what, like the example that I was thinking of. But I feel like I felt very like, and this was your first year, right? Like
Yeah.
your first last year. For me, it was my second year. I felt really like it was like a combination of loneliness and feeling like super lost. Like I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel like it's a type of loneliness. Like I feel like I am a very independent person. Like I enjoy like the solitude. I like my alone time. So I remember like my second year, I was like, what is this? I'm like, what is this? Like, I've never felt this way before because I remember I would be by myself in like the room and I would be like, I would usually be like, I'm fine. Like, I like that time for myself. But I remember like I started feeling so anxious about it. And I remember that I was like, I actually don't like, I feel really lonely. Like, even though I was constantly surrounded by people and like, I had my friends and I had kind of slowly started establishing myself within like the center, within Sapphire, like within these spaces that I was involved in, I still didn't feel like I truly belonged. And it wasn't anyone's fault or like it was because people made me feel a certain way. I think it was just like internally, like for some reason, like I was like, like I think for me when I first stepped in, it was like, and then as you do with any other space, like when you're like the new person and you see people like all know each other, you kind of get that like, oh, I don't really like belong here. Like, oh, I don't know if I fit in here, if I'm a fit for them or whatever. So I started feeling like that, and I was like, I don't know what caused it or why, but I just remember I started like overthinking and everything, and I remember I was like, oh my god, everyone hates me. Like, I don't belong here. And I remember even then, like, I was constantly surrounded by people, but it was like this, like, almost like me desesperate. Like, I was like, I don't know, like, why I'm feeling this way, and I think going back to what Ozzy said too is like you could feel lonely, and for me it was like coming to terms because I think I woke up one time and I was like, oh my god, I'm alone for the rest of this life. Like I was born alone, I'm gonna die alone. Like I was having like an existential crisis, and I remember I was journaling. I was like journaling about it a lot because I was trying to understand like why I was feeling this way, and I feel like a lot of it was because I think now, looking back at that, I realize is because I had that realization that I was a young adult and I wasn't a kid anymore. As much as I was fighting to like still be a kid, like I tell everyone I feel like I'm in high school still. Like I'm 15, and a lot of that can be explained because of like the pandemic and stuff. And I remember that I think that was like the thing that sent me just into like a spiral. I was like, oh my god, like I'm supposed to know certain things, I'm supposed to do certain things, or be a certain way, like at this age. But then now I'm like, that was so silly because you're like, now that you get out of it, you're like, that's so silly. And I'm like, now I'm turning 21 this year, and I'm just like, wow, like, I actually don't know anything. I'm like, I just got here. Like, it's okay for me not to know everything. And I think part of that loneliness that was with me, I don't feel that way anymore. And I feel like now I'm able to be like, I can reach out to people. Like people don't hate me. It's not I felt this way, but it doesn't mean that people weren't there to support me if I had communicated that with them. Because there's always so much going on in your head, and I feel like I get like that when I get very stressed out, like in my head. But I'm like, I know if I reach out to people, people will like will I will lean on them, and I can lean on them. So I feel like that was like the most challenging part, just like navigating, just realizing that you're kind of a young adult and you're in this weird like I'm a kid, but I'm an adult, but I'm kind of not either. But I think that was like my challenges, like one of my challenges at UCI.
Mm.
Okay, I'll go. So for me, one of my challenges has to be accepting that I deserve opportunities. I used to be scared of applying for like fellowships, scholarships, and things like that because I would be like, no, there's someone better than me. Like they're gonna get it and things like that. So I would never take the chance on applying until like last year for this year. I started applying for everything. I applied for everything and I got a couple of stuff. So I was like, oh my god, like maybe if I did this a lot sooner, I would have like maybe be at like another dream school, or if I took the chance to like believe in myself. Like um yeah, it took me about 4 years until now, like I was like, oh wow, like I deserve these opportunities because they're out there for everyone, and there's a lot of people who don't apply, so maybe I can be that one person that gets it. So that's where I'm at now.
I think my biggest challenge here at UCI, and it really bled into my role as a court, was uh, being too independent, not allowing myself to confide in others and allow them to like help when I did need the help or when they would offer the help. Um,
Yeah. I feel like I've told you, like because we're friends, and I've told you this about, like I've told you this before, right?
mhm,
How some people are like even I find myself like I feel like, oh, I cannot move forward, or I cannot move forward, but I refuse to ask for help. I don't know if like that's how you felt before, or like if you can relate to that. Um, but yeah, I feel like that's a big challenge. And how did you find how did you find like the courage to reach out for help when you did, like, because like that's something like it lives within us of like, oh, like, yeah, like I can do this, like I'm okay without help.
mhm.
But how did you, or what did you do in order to be like, okay, yeah, I need help, and be able to reach out and be comfortable with reaching out for help?
Okay, so I'm gonna backtrack a little. I feel that this like sort of independence stems from when I was younger. I would move a lot from school to school, so I was never really established at one school, or no, nor did I like really rep. Oh yeah, I'm from so and so school, or oh yeah, I'm from so and so, because I would move so much, and it wasn't until here that I found my community, and I'm able to say I'm a UCI student, and from there.
Woo, I can't. Oh.
Next one. Irvine.
No, that's what I was thinking
That's not
too.
the Irvine.
I'm sorry. I'm me again.
It wasn't until after finding my community I was able to open up, feel more comfortable with the people around me, and put myself in a vulnerable position where I'm able to ask Fatima, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. Or do we say, could I please get your opinion on this? I'm not too sure myself, or even Mars as well, for their feedback, their inputs. And um, I feel after just feeling comfortable within my environment, that's how I was able to combat just be feeling as if I don't need anyone's help, shunning everyone from possible help that I may need, even though I may be struggling, but I refuse to accept it.
I love that. I love that. I feel like, um, just like to reiterate what you guys said, loneliness, and then the feeling of not belonging, or not deserving certain stuff, or the feeling of like I have to be independent because like that's the way I grew up, like is very common, especially for undocumented students, who are impacted by immigration policies, or any student who is first gen, or any student in general. I feel like it's very like common to hear those experiences. And thank you guys for being vulnerable here. And that's the purpose of like the this podcast, And I shared with you guys in episode 1 that Dream Out Loud is meant to provide this space to be vulnerable and to be raw, because like our experiences might help others. And I'm glad, and I really appreciate you guys being vulnerable with me today. I'm sharing you guys this experience. But we're not done. Still. I have more questions for you guys. Well, one more question, and then hopefully like just to wrap up. But I don't know if future applicants for Dream Project Fellowship are watching right now, but if they are, and hopefully they are, um, what would you say? What would you say to those who are maybe hesitant, or who are thinking about applying to DPF, or they like, but they don't feel ready, or they feel like hesitant, as I mentioned before? What would you say to those students who are watching right now?
Let's turn the mic.
Okay.
Like, give me the mic. There is no shame in your status. You are worth so much more than your status. Like, I wish that all undocumented students can unpack that status, because I knew it's such a big source of shame that you carry, even though it's not your fault. It's for extenuating circumstances, right? I want you to know that your status, that does not matter. You are a person, you're a human being that has these dreams, that, has their hobbies. Like, you are a person. First of all, your status is something that I always say, like, your sense of status or immigration status is a set of extenuating circumstances. It is not you, it is not all that you are. Will it impact many aspects of our lives? Of course, it will, unfortunately. But like, you are just a human being, like, and I want everyone, like, any potential applicants that are applying, I do wish DPF will be kind of that door to open it for you. And like, we have these type of discussions of like learning, where this come from, so how you feel about your status. And I want you to know that it'll take a lot of work, and it'll be one step at a time. And I think we're ready to receive you. Next year's cohorts are ready to receive you and meet you where you are. So I just want to say, like, go for it. Take this opportunity because it is rightfully yours.
Okay. I'd say, please apply. You are doing yourself a favor. Something that one of my favorite artists, or some of the artists I listen to, said was, not taking opportunity is like not washing your hands. So go back and wash your hands.
Oh,
Take that opportunity.
Okay.
I love that analogy.
you ate
Love
that.
that.
You ate it. You ate.
So I say, please do it. You will learn a lot about yourself. You'll come to grow. You'll have your peers tell you that you've grown. Through this program, I myself have grown. I feel more vocal. I feel more comfortable asking for help. I feel more comfortable with myself and my identity. So please do apply. Consider it. You will grow a lot.
For me, I highly encourage you guys to apply because, like, if it's not meant for you, then you have the opportunity to walk away, but you don't have the opportunity to get it back until next year. But I highly do encourage you to apply because, like, we're not really given the opportunities to grow professionally. Like, we have to fight for these opportunities. Like, people had to fight for it before us, and we're in a position where we never know what if it's taken away and we have to fight again. So the moment's now. Now take advantage of the resources available for us because we truly don't know if they will ever be taken away from us.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Yay! So everyone there but yeah, so thank you guys again for being here. Like, I feel like so honored to have you guys here. And thank you everyone who stayed until the end and are watching us right now. I feel so happy like we can share our experiences and our stories for you. And I hope like you guys are learning something from us as well. And yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for listening to this was Dream Out Loud, and let's keep dreaming out loud, okay? Bye.
Bye.
My birds are
Bye.
luck.
Feel like Pink Panthers.
Yeah, that was the right kind of. Yes, yes. Woo! Oh, I'm doing it. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Like, bye.
Bye, cameras.